this around.
And let people know that we are going to stand. United. This is the first time I have ever seen people from all different walks put their feet down and keep their feet planted. Don't give up.
If I can give you one hint how to help improve America, turn off your TV. Stop watching the news. Because they alter it. They alter it to make us look like the bad guy. Like we're bums. But we're not. We're down in the shit because they put us in the shit. Stop watching Jersey Shore and inform yourself. I promise to be different. I promise to be unique. I promise not to repeat what other people say. I promise not to repeat what other people say.
I'm State Adonian. I'm here to represent Marcellus Protest and a variety of other organizations that have been fighting non-stop for the last year and a half to protect your rights. And I'm here today to invite you all to join our fight because we have been fighting for the 99%. If you want to see firsthand what this fight is about, you need to look no further than the gas industry that is occupying your state right now, that is buying your local officials, your state officials. Governor Corbett took $1 million from the gas industry. Who do you think he's working for? Damn right he's not working for you. I can tell you because I go and meet with him on a regular basis, although he won't see me. I try. But today, what I want you to understand and what I want you to know is that we do have power. But we only have power when we exercise that power. This is not just about today, people. This is not about one day, a group gathering. This is about every single day. Getting out there, educating the public, getting people to stand up for what is right.
Dinner last year.
A Christmas dinner last year.
I was in the presence of the CEO of Giant Eagle.
I was in the presence of the CEO of Giant Eagle.
Who made $8 million bonus last year. I asked him why. He said for his family. I said, what about the families of the others around that are suffering, have no food, and are homeless?
He said, what about the families around that are suffering with no food and are homeless?
And his reply.
Fuck off.
Are you that family? Then shut up. I'm here against my family.
Against the 1%.
for you all. And for you all. We need to take down the 1%. We need to take down the 1%. Show the power of the people. And show the power of the people. We are Occupy Pittsburgh. We are Occupy Pittsburgh. Thank you. Thank you. Just want to say I was in New York all week.
At Occupy Wall Street.
At Occupy Wall Street.
It's nice to see this happening in my hometown.
And it's nice to see this happening in my hometown.
If anybody has any questions about New York,
Anybody has any questions about New York?
at Occupy Wall Street,
At Occupy Wall Street.
just come and ask me.
Just come and ask them.
My name's Steve. I am a teacher. Who's afraid to show his face. And all I want to say is that I love seeing every single one of you here today. I teach history. And it is movements like this that change things, that make the country better, and make the world better. We are all diverse. And seeing a movement that is this diverse will help to change America. And will bring down corporate greed. Also, if anyone wants to buy me a beer, I would love a beer. I would really love a beer. Thank you.
Is Rich Olivito. I'm the civil rights lawyer. I studied the Constitution of America for 20 years. I've stood up for the poor and the victims of police brutality the better part of my adult career. I've litigated cases in Minneapolis, Cincinnati, Cleveland, Columbus, Steubenville, Ohio, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Roanoke, Virginia. I've been shot at. I've been jailed 8 times by judges. There's a man named John Bingham. Does anybody know who John Bingham is? You ought to get to know John Bingham. He's buried in a cemetery about 25 miles west of here. He wrote something called the 14th Amendment. He wrote it in 1868. He was an abolitionist. He gave his life in his career to free you, to free this country. The 14th Amendment is the only amendment that gives you the right to truly stand here today, speak freely. The First Amendment was created by the Founding Fathers. You know what they were about. The 14th freed this nation. But something called the Supreme Court, within 5 years of him writing that amendment, allowed Jim Crow to rise. Somebody named Thurgood Marshall helped free this nation. He used the 14th Amendment. Last year, actually a couple years ago, the U.S. Supreme Court took John Bingham's amendment and gave it to the corporation in a case called Citizens United. Let's take back the 14th. Let me say that again. Let's take back the 14th. Let's take back the 14th.
Here, the government has spent billions to protect the interests of the 1%. exercise political and economic power over the immense majority that lives off their own labor or is excluded altogether. A real democracy is a space in which the people holds power over the state and directs its interests. Contrary to the current condition in which a few dozen corporations decide for all of us.
Nuestra firme denuncia a la intención de una mayoría aplastante de gobiernos del mundo de descargar el peso de la crisis financiera de Wall Street y otros mercados mundiales sobre los hombros del pueblo trabajador del mundo. Esto no ha sido la excepción dentro de Estados Unidos, donde el gobierno federal ha destinado millones para salvaguardar los intereses de los sectores ricos de la sociedad, pero se ha mostrado incapaz de una solución efectiva al problema del desempleo y la miseria que rodea a millones de personas.
Wall Street screwing us.
As many of you already know, there is a celebration going on in Washington, D.C. to celebrate the memorial of Dr. Martin Luther King. In a speech I heard by Reverend Al Sharpton, he says he finds it preposterous that those officials in Washington, D.C. can say they celebrate the ideals of Dr. Martin Luther King, and yet at the same time refuse to address the miseries of the poor, the working poor, and the unemployed. And to paraphrase, he says to the lawmakers, since you refuse to pass the jobs bill, and seem to be determined to keep the unemployed unemployed, we are prepared to make sure that you join the ranks of the unemployed.
We'll all have tea. Cops and hippies. You and me. We'll occupy together. We'll all be free. Occupy for good. Occupy for good. What? Occupy for good. What? I said there ain't no law. And there ain't no talk. Like face to face. And